Hey there, precious friends. Good to be with you for this week's devotional. Thank you for checking it out. You know, there's something about our teenage years that frees us in certain nostalgic memories. Our first car, in my case, women that we dated, or if you're a woman, the men we dated, the songs that were special to that era, the movies that we got to see that we've never forgotten. One of those for me was a totally absurd Mel Brooks film called High Anxiety. And it had Cloris Leachman in it and Harvey Korman and Madeline Kahn. You can probably find it online. It was just total absurdity, but great fun the way the Mel Brooks films were. He played the part of a Dr. Thorndike, and he actually sang a song about high anxiety. High anxiety, it's you that I fear. High anxiety whenever you're near. And to think about the predicament we're in, having to separate from each other, and all the anxiety that this pandemic has brought into our culture, our economy, our relationships, into every walk of life. I wanted to take a week here as we've seen the spike of the summer and go back and deal a little bit like I did back in the spring with some of the emotional impacts on all of this. I'll be honest with you, I've had some days that I've been really blue. It's helped me appreciate people who battle depression and the dark night of the soul that struggle is. That is often a taboo subject that we as a church and as a society need to give more compassionate attention to. But I'm not battling depression. I've just had days of blues as the news of what's going on and what's not happening and our inability to control it and our inability to understand it brings on. And in preparing for this devotional, I pulled out a book that stays here on my shelf. This is my bookmark, my newsletter that I'll pull out. But this is a cookbook written by a country music singer by the name of Naomi Judd. And it's an old book. It goes back into the 90s. And it's got incredible recipes. They're not always healthy recipes, but good recipes, and it's got some humor and a lot of stuff of the prime of her career when her mother was still living and her daughters and the grandkids and all that were a part of that. And when you open it up, it has this picture on the cover page, and it says, "My solutions to America's problems is the kitchen table." And it's a reference to the fact that there's more than one kind of nourishment that goes on when we sit down and share a meal together as a family. The table was one of those old streamline style tables from the streamline era that started in the 1930s and continued to the 1950s in our culture. I have one here on my screen that's of a different style, but the steel frame and the thick in this case, florally decorated rim of the table, the formica top. Fun to look back at that. Styles have changed, and sometimes the old styles come back. But the purpose of this devotional today is to talk about the symbolic nature of the kitchen table. In all my years of growing up, we had meals around that kitchen table every morning as a family, every evening, and even lunch too on the weekends when we weren't in school. Powerful dynamic of human relationship symbolized there. Communication, processing, insight, balance, diversity, different slants, different takes on things. And one of the reasons our culture is struggling right now is we've lost some of that sense of community in a variety of areas, in a variety of ways. And the kitchen table offers far more than this thing does. This thing serves a great purpose. It's a wonderful advancement. It's a great gift. I'm still learning about them all the time. But there is just something about being in relationship with each other, whether it be at a kitchen table or other areas. And even that has been challenged now. That's what's so maddening about this. High anxiety, it's you that I fear. high anxiety whenever you're near. But there are still ways, as families, as friends, even if we have to separate a little bit. Because right now we are starved for community and all of the good that it brings. The Bible says, when two or more are gathered in my name, I am with them. And there is a powerfully strong spiritual component present. When people who trust God, we may not have great Bible knowledge and we may not be deep theologians, but trusting God and seeking that and bringing that into our relationship brings such incredible power into these settings of community. So if you have a small group, family dynamic, group of friends, even if it's just an old-fashioned telephone conversation, nowadays with Skype and FaceTime, even that can have some community. We need to be with each other. We need to find ways to connect and listen. Not just spew our frustration and our opinion and our way of the way it ought to be, but listen to other people. And boy, that old kitchen table style of dynamic can bring such a sense of peace, such a sense of encouragement and a better perspective, so we don't go off the edge in anxiety or don't battle the blues. Loved ones, this is going to be a long ride, longer than I wanted it to be, longer than I initially thought it would be. And I'm going to need you, and we're going to need each other. So let's remember the image of the kitchen table, and if not a specific kitchen table, let's find ways that we can love, listen, and work through this with each other. God's blessings will come.